1800 years ago, a physician in the Eastern Han Dynasty found his home village in the middle of a winter epidemic. He did not prescribe medicine, and that is only one of 8 dumplings with a story you would not expect. 8 dumplings, 1 complete breakdown.
The Chinese character for wonton means chaos. The shape was chosen to represent it. Formless, irregular, without edges. By the Tang dynasty in the 7th century, court records show wonton was already deeply embedded in the culture, eaten specifically during the winter solstice. The court believed the sealed dough physically trapped warmth inside it. Cantonese wonton is tissue thin. The wrapper is rolled to near transparency, yellow from egg, almost weightless. The filling is shrimp and pork, minimal seasoning. The goal is to let the broth carry the flavor. In Hong Kong, wonton noodle soup is a benchmark dish. Chefs are judged on the elasticity of the shrimp filling. It should push back when you bite. Too soft and the filling is wrong. Too firm and the wrapper tears. 1,000 years of refinement. The wrapper still tears if you get it wrong.
There is liquid inside Xiaolongbao before you steam it. That is not an accident. It is the entire point. The soup inside a Xiaolongbao is not added after cooking. It starts as aspic, cold, solid, chopped fine, and mixed into the filling. When the dumpling steams, the gelatin melts. The soup is created inside a sealed wrapper in under 8 minutes. The fold is the technical challenge. A proper Xiaolongbao has 18 pleats. The seal must be airtight. Any gap and the soup escapes into the steamer. Shanghai chefs spend months on the pleating alone before they are allowed to work the line. The correct method of eating Xiaolongbao is documented. Bite a small hole, drink the soup, then eat the rest. Biting directly causes the soup to burst. This is not a warning, it is a failure of technique. 18 folds, 1 wrong, and the whole thing collapses.
Gyoza is a Chinese dumpling that became more Japanese than anything Japan originally made with dough. Japanese soldiers returning from Manchuria after World War II brought jiaozi back with them. The adaptation was immediate and decisive. Thinner skin, more garlic, less ginger, and a cooking method that China rarely used, pan-fried on one side only, then steamed in the same pan. The result is a dumpling with 2 textures that exist simultaneously. The bottom is hard and lacquered from the oil. The top is soft and translucent from the steam. The contrast is not a compromise between 2 methods, it is a third thing entirely. Gyoza became a permanent fixture in Japanese ramen shops, ordered alongside ramen rather than instead of it. Utsunomiya in Tochigi Prefecture claims the title of Japan's gyoza capital. The city holds an annual gyoza festival that draws large crowds every year. It arrived as someone else's food. It stayed as its own.
Manti is not a dish. It is a map of the Silk Road folded into dough. The Turkic peoples of Central Asia carried it across steppes and mountain passes before any empire thought to write down a recipe. Every civilization the Silk Road touched, Persian, Mongol, Chinese, Ottoman, ended up with their own version. The shapes changed, the fillings changed, the name, in most cases, stayed. The original Manti was simple by necessity. Thin dough, a filling of minced lamb and onion, steamed over water in stacked wooden trays. No sauce. The moisture came from the meat. It cooked fast, required no oven, and could feed a caravan. Today, Manti is the national dish of Turkey, a staple across Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. In Turkey, the portions are small, the dumplings dense, and they are served under cold garlic yogurt and hot butter with red pepper. In Central Asia, they are large enough to eat with 2 hands. The Silk Road moved silk and spices. It also moved this.
The samosa is not Indian in origin. It arrived in the subcontinent from Persia and Central Asia, carried by merchants along trade routes before the Mughal Empire existed. The 10th century Persian scholar al-Biruni documented a fried pastry called sanbosag, triangular, filled with meat and nuts. By the 13th century, it had reached the Delhi Sultanate. By the 16th century, it was being filled with potatoes, a vegetable that would not arrive in India from the Americas for another 100 years. The basic geometry adapted to whoever was folding it.
While South Asia perfected the iconic triangle, the Middle East shaped it into half-moons, and Central Asia baked it into squares and circles in clay ovens. The filling shifted just as drastically, from lamb to potato to lentil to cheese, depending on which culture adopted it. The wrapper changed too, thicker in South Asia, thinner and crispier further west. Today, samosa is one of the most widely eaten street foods across South Asia, East Africa, and the Middle East. Variations of the same triangular form appear across regions far beyond its origin. 10 centuries, the shape changed, the idea didn't.
Pierogi entered Poland at roughly the same time the Mongol invasions swept through Eastern Europe. Whether one caused the other is still debated. The first documented Polish recipe for pierogi dates to the 13th century. Some historians argue the dumpling traveled west with Mongol forces. Others place its origin in contact with Central Asian traders. The dough is the same semicircle either way, boiled, then optionally pan-fried in butter. The filling defines the region. In Poland, potato and farmer's cheese, or sauerkraut and mushroom. In Ukraine, potato with onion or sour cherry for sweet versions. In Lithuania, the filling shifts toward meat. The wrapper is identical across all of them. Unleavened flour, egg, water, pressed to a circle and folded. Pierogi ruski, the potato and cheese variety, is the most widely recognized version globally, largely through the Polish diaspora in the United States. Despite the name, Ruski refers not to Russia, but to the historical region of Ruthenia in western Ukraine. The name is a geography lesson embedded in a dumpling.
The Mongols may have brought it. Poland made it permanent. 2 cities claim to have invented ravioli, and both insist they are right. The oldest known written recipe appears in a 14th century Genoese merchant's notebook. 4 lines, no pasta listed, just dough around a filling. Venetian records from the same century describe something almost identical. Both cities claim the original. The dispute never produced a verdict. Italian regional variation makes ravioli almost impossible to define as a single dish. In Lombardy, the filling is pumpkin and amaretti biscuit, sweet and savory simultaneously. In Sardinia, the local version, called culurgiones, is sealed with a braid that requires a specific hand motion passed from mother to daughter. In Rome, ravioli is served in broth on Christmas Eve. The square shape is the default, not a rule. The defining characteristic is the seal, 2 layers of pasta pressed together around a filling with no air inside. Air causes the pasta to burst in boiling water. The technique is the same, whether the shape is square, round, or half-moon. 600 years of argument, the seal is still the only thing that matters. The empanada was designed to travel. The sealed crust was not culinary preference, it was preservation technology. Spanish colonizers carried the Galician empanada across the Atlantic and transformed it across Latin America in the 16th century. The original purpose was identical to a pie, a portable sealed vessel that kept filling edible without refrigeration. The dough was the container, not the food. Across Latin America, the empanada fractured into dozens of regional identities. Argentina uses beef, hard-boiled egg, and olive. Chile adds raisins. Colombia fries it. Bolivia bakes it in clay ovens. Each version is identifiably an empanada, half-moon shape, crimped edge, and completely distinct from all the others. The crimped edge is functional. In Argentina, different crimp patterns indicate different fillings in a shared tray, a visual code developed before menus were common. A baker in Salta can read the edge and name the filling without opening it. The crust was never meant to be food. It became the best part. Unique fact. According to a long-recorded Chinese tradition, preserved across multiple historical accounts, the dumpling was not invented as food. 1800 years ago, in the Eastern Han Dynasty, a physician named Zhang Zhongjing returned to his home village after a long absence. It was winter. A febrile epidemic had swept through the region. The poorest villagers had no warm clothes and no food. Their ears were rotting from frostbite. Zhang did not prescribe medicine. He built a shed, set up a pot, and cooked lamb, black pepper, and warming medicinal herbs. He wrapped the mixture in small pieces of dough shaped like ears and boiled them. He called them Jiao'er, tender ears. He distributed them every day from the winter solstice to New Year's Eve. By the time the holiday arrived, the frostbite had healed. The villagers began making the same shape to celebrate. The name changed over centuries. The shape did not. Today, 1 billion people eat jiaozi on Chinese New Year's Eve. The dumpling is no longer medicine, but it still looks like an ear. Zhang Zhongjing was trying to save ears. He ended up feeding the world.